$790 billion of remittance has happened, and close to 7 to 8% has went roughly on the operational cost, which is about $50 billion. Where do we see the use case of blockchain in remittance? Can I expect some kind of a solution? And Western unions and other institutions which are settling or acting as a catalyst to do my remittance from one part of the country to another are charging high cost, are slow. It takes about 3 to 5 days. If somebody is spending $100, then you end up receiving close to $90, $92. So where do we see the blockchain use case and how it can unlock the potential of remittance markets, specifically looking after the Indian use cases?
Yeah, sure. That's again a very, very interesting topic. Now there is, obviously Ripple, which is working in this space, trying to fix the problem of micropayments. What we've seen is, what blockchain can do is we can leverage multiple channels of liquidity. So let's say if you want to transfer a Singapore dollar to Indian rupee, or say something from Middle East to Philippines, what blockchain can give you is multiple and faster channels of swapping that liquidity. So you do not need to depend on one channel, but you can have multiple price points or channel. In the end, as Prasanna rightly said, the customer is going to drive it. That means if I'm a customer sending $100 to say India from US or Singapore, it matters for me how fast I get it on the other side and what is the rate that I get. And that rate and speed, you cannot depend on one platform. You need to have multiple channels of liquidity, and that's what blockchain is good at. It can give you multiple channels of liquidity for swapping of one asset into another, and obviously subject to how much banks open up their fiat on-ramp and off-ramp channels across these two countries. If that happens, if it was still 2017, where we had a fair amount of exchanges that could provide on-ramp and off-ramp for your digital assets or blockchain assets onto Indian rupees, or on the other side US dollar or Singapore dollar. That's the channel. If that opens up again after Supreme Court's decision, it would actually see many more channels, making this space more competitive, effectively more competitive for the customers themselves.
Great. So I'll come back to you on some of the questions on asset tokenization. Prasanna, how quickly, I want you to share your insights on how blockchain is impacting lending and insurance space. My apologies again, you are on mute, sorry.
Yeah, so what I heard that how blockchain is gonna helpful for lending in the insurance sector.
Yes.
Yeah, so now just imagine how you gonna lend in a insurance sector where insurance company and the guy who wants the loan, or if all these entities are coming onto the same page and the same network, it will be very beneficial. In current lending sector, there are lot of manual efforts are involved, since risk underwriting and followed by the multiple processes within a bank. So I think with a lending use case coming on a blockchain, we'll have a complete digital journey of onboarding of a customer with a better KYC, and followed by the payouts. Will be easy. It will be without man in middle, and there will not be much disputes while your smart contract runs on right time, give the payouts and relevant payouts to the end user on right time without much of disputes. I think that will really shape up our existing operational challenges, and that's what I can comment as of now.
Great. So do you see that if you and I take the same medical insurance or health insurance, and you go to gym and you does exercise, you keep your diet healthy and fit, and I on the other hand consume junk and different other activities which are not really advisable from a health point of view, and we both can have the different premiums paying to the health insurance company using a blockchain
I think that's a dynamic insurance. Yeah, I think that's a dynamic insurance. That model will certainly come to our life, not only for health insurance, but also for car insurance. The way I'm driving car, if you're driving car smoothly, maybe your value will be at that level. But if somebody is driving rashly, automatically the value will go down. Similarly, for health also, we'll certainly see how IoT or some kind of a mechanism will come and gauge our health status on a regular basis, and accordingly give back this data to the centralized agencies, where on these blockchain based contracts will keep on monitoring and giving back to the insight you have reached to this level, and if you want to reach to that level, you have to really take care of these precautions. So I think that's
emerging technologies will do a combination.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the new thing which will bring on. That's what I said initially. The internet has given a mechanism to communicate, but how to bring on intelligence plus trust? That's what AI plus blockchain will. And IoT is one of the interface, just like a wave interface. So I think devices will search automatically. Devices will talk to each other through the networks on a blockchain, and AI will always understand how they have to talk on the right time, and blockchain will execute those contracts on right time. So I think that amalgamation will certainly see in future, and I think startups.
That's the holy trinity which we call it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Atul, now there has been the tokens which are there in the market. You cannot buy a ship, but you can buy a ownership of a ship. You do not really have money to accommodate into a complete real estate asset. You can buy a part ownership. After ICO scams, we have seen FTOs which are coming out. So what is this asset tokenization quickly? What are the advantages, and how blockchain is adding a layer of trust or decentralization towards these assets?
Yeah, that's it's one of the most biggest exploding spaces in the market. So we have had the ICO boom where there was less credible parties or no credible parties who came in and raised a large amount of money, and that's where it got under scrutiny. But what it really triggered was the asset tokenization boom. So we have SGOs coming up. In fact, we are personally in discussion with some of the banks on the international level. What we are looking at is firstly, so the benefit that you get is fractional ownership. Fractional ownership of any asset that you can trade or buy into and still get the benefit of owning it at that fraction. Second benefit is being able to trade it in the secondary market. So because these are tokens, they come into your wallet, and if you're not happy with it, you can trade it back on the secondary market, right? So that gives you much more liquidity, much more investor interest to go and buy into these kind of assets, which wasn't there. For example, if you're buying into real estate right now, it would take you a lot of time to buy into one, and then it would take you a lot of time. It would cost a bigger price tag, and for you to sell it back in the market, it would be a massive process again, right? So it fixes that. It gives you a more liquid secondary market, and it gives you a smaller ticket size that you can come into. It's one of the biggest kind of use cases that blockchain tokens are made for, and we are heavily working on it ourselves.
So unlocking the assets and providing the liquidity from the market and opening up for the population around the globe. Great. So I think it has pretty much cleared my query. So Prasanna, quickly, before you step down from this call, is Prasanna, are you there? Okay. Meanwhile, he just fixed his camera and other things. We have been reading about the other use case as well, Atul, that blockchain can disrupt capital markets. So how blockchain can disrupt capital markets? Of course, we understand one is from the KYC point of view. What could be the other use cases in capital markets? One could be the trading of an asset or trading of the utility. What else can be some of the use cases in capital markets, and do you see blockchain to unlocking the potential within this space?
Yeah, so first of all, I think the whole KYC, in fact, I was surprised by some of the exchanges that were regulated by in EU, in Europe, by either Estonia or some of the...
Hi, Aman and Atul. I just had to leave because of one call.
Yes.
So thank you so much for inviting me for such an interesting discussion, which is like it's going on and on. So thank you so much, Aman, for interesting questions.
Great, thank you so much, Prasanna. Before you disconnect the call, can you quickly answer on this open banking and neobanks which are coming up?
Yeah, I think that's a future of banking. Somebody has said that banks are not important, but banking service is important, and it's important for banks how they can leverage on the existing technologies and give back this service to the last mile, last device, last guy who is sitting somewhere. So I think that is possible with the collaboration when banks will open up their APIs. APIs will consumed by the fintechs or startups or those service providers, or APIs could be consumed by the sum of your devices like cars, smart homes. I think that's what, when your APIs are open, you will need more trust in between all these entities who are the part of this network. So that is why open banking plus blockchain gonna be a very, very good combination in future. So just example, we're calling an API through a fintech. How can we leverage that this API was being called that moment, and this is being sent to the bank? This will be trusted by only blockchain kind of a mechanism, and opportunity is such a huge that what my guy was doing, visiting a branch. Just imagine so many people are gonna visit a bank through these APIs. So I think we need very huge infrastructure, trusted network, and many more use cases will land up on a single API. So I think that's a combination: open banking plus blockchain. It could be used by IoT, ultimately understood by AI. So throw back right insights back to the end users. So I think that's a journey, and really geared for this bank 2.0 kind of a journey here on.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Fintech 4.0 will be an ecosystem. If I owe 100 rupees to a bank, that's my problem. If I owe 100 crore, that's bank's problem. So we will see a lot of changes coming in, and decentralization and trust will play an important role from data integrity and other issues which we are going through. And of course, fraud and scam.